Well, hello everybody, Mike with Spray Jones coming to you with another video on spray foam insulation. I am the owner of Spray Jones and I produce content for the spray foam industry, so you can get your spray foam IQ up here. Today we're going to be talking about basements or foundations that are going in the ground. Would it be advisable to be putting closed cell foam to the inside or to the outside? This is a very common question, and both in and out have their advantages and their disadvantages. So let's get into taking a look at why we would want to do potentially the outside. Is there a right and a wrong way? Well, I don't believe that going to the outside is wrong. It really depends on end use. So if you are in a commercial setting and you are going to be having a parkade, for instance, and you do not want to have insulation and drywall or any type of interior other than concrete, then it's a no-brainer. You're going to be wanting to put closed cell foam to the outside. Likewise, if you have some sort of an interior inside the structure that you do not want to have insulation for, again, like not just a parkade, but let's say you had like an indoor hockey rink, or you had squash courts, or you had something that was down in the ground inside of the concrete and you wanted hard surface, that would constitute putting closed cell foam to the outside. Now, if you are going to insulate the interior side, I have no problem with outside insulation as well. If I was to rebuild and do a house again, I would definitely put at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches of closed cell foam around my foundation before backfill. But this is obviously dependent on weather. You would need to have the timing correct. Sometimes you cannot get out when the foundation is going to be going into the ground before backfill is done. Most closed cell foams are approved to go direct onto the concrete. No additional coating is needed either before or after. It is the principal damp proofing, but you got to have your data proving that and approved with your local code people. But you've got to get it timed so that the cut of the hole where the foundation is going is wide enough. You have enough room to work. Sometimes you don't, due to property lines and where they can take a bucket cut or not, or two. So you need to have enough space. You need to be able to get down in there, get the timing done before they do the backfill. Otherwise, you're into weather. Too cold is no good. Obviously, soaking wet is absolutely no good. And high winds are a huge problem because you're going to be dragging that overspray and drifting it in the air and getting it on other buildings or other items. The other big factor with going to the exterior is the detail concerning above grade. So much of your foundation usually is going to be above grade. It can be as much as 2 or even 4 feet I've seen. So if you have to have the insulation to the exterior, how are you detailing out windows? How are you going to be detailing out the above grade portion where you're not going to be leaving it exposed to the elements and to the ultraviolet light? So what is going to be over top of the foam? And are you going to stucco it, or would you put something on the facing of the foam? How smooth is the foam? Or are you going to be putting Z-girts and paneling down in front of it? That can be done. And then what is the return going to look like if you've got 2 or 3 inch application of closed cell foam above grade, and then you go and return that back towards the building where now you're going to have siding, there's a step, there's a ledge, there's a flashing that has to be done. So these are all things that need to be taken into consideration and have to be planned. Now, I've seen some exterior jobs that we've done where the step flashing on the outside, where the siding transitions to the foundation area, they made it look incredibly attractive. They put trim and a foam panel piece around, angled it, stuccoed it, and you could not tell from the street that closed cell foam was on the outside of the foundation, and then they just dropped down in front of it with a board and did the stucco finish on that. So it really, really looked good. Likewise, I've also had very small amount of foundation sticking above grade where it's only been like a foot or less due to a commercial building, and then there's going to be a brick ledge and a brick facade above it. They've gone around and just painted black, black or a gray color, the top foot of spray foam, and you can't tell from the street whether it's concrete or whether it's spray foam. So that's a really good way to go. Interior is definitely the long-term sustainable answer for most situations with foundations. The reason being is that not weather dependent, not timing dependent. The foundation can be poured, backfilled, damp-proofed, backfilled, have everything handled from the exterior side, not weather dependent, and then you can either do framing or no framing and then put the spray foam up. Like a lot of times, closed cell foam will be applied, and then the framing and the interior fit outs will be done, and this allows greater flexibility for your plans, your timing, and what type of interior finishes that you want to do. We typically see people frame out a concrete foundation on the interior side, run electrical, and then add the closed cell foam, provided you're not going to be blocking and preventing the foam from being able to get into certain locations at the floor joists. The interior disadvantage is that in most jurisdictions it's going to want to be covered. It's deemed interior habitable space, so the spray foam can't or shouldn't be left exposed. So drywall, paneling, or some type of spray applied coating. And we do have that. If basements are wanting to be left undeveloped, we've got a technique where we can come in, we can add 2 or 3 inches of closed cell foam, spray fireproof it, and I think it's fairly competitive with framing, electrical, base electrical, and some batted insulation. So you'd skip all of that and just go with the closed cell foam and the fireproofing, and then the people would eventually finish it off and not have to add any additional insulation on the interior side. So I really think that it depends on your situation as to what you want to do, and you can spray it interior wise and exterior wise. And again, if I had a choice, I'd do both. I'd time it out where I'd put the foundation in spring to fall and get it sprayed externally. Just be patient, pick my time to do it, and then I also do spray interior as well, and then I've got the best of both worlds. And the spray foam on the exterior is one heck of a great damp proofing system. Okay, so I hope this answers your questions. Click on the like and the subscribe if you're so inclined. Share it with somebody that needs to see this, and we will catch you on future content.